One of our top games of all time was Telltales The Walking Dead Season 1. This game was far from perfect and had plenty of flaws, but the writing, the acting, and the characters elevated this interactive drama into something special. That was over a decade ago in 2012, and no interactive drama has reached these levels since. The portfolio of Interior Night is full of expertise from studios that have heavy emphasis on rich narratives. Quantic Dream, BioWare, Sony London, Projekt Red are just some of the places that these developers have come from. You're either going to love the art style or hate the art style of As Dusk Falls. But heading into the game myself, I was indifferent to the art style. However, after playing it, I was pleasantly surprised by how much it grew on me. This fusion between graphic novel and live action is a choice that works by putting the focus on the writing instead. The weak point of The Walking Dead and many other interactive dramas are usually the art, the graphics, or the technology not being able to match the writing, which can easily break immersion when a character's mouth doesn't move, or their eyes don't blink, or they clip through the couch. The passion for gritty drama is instantly on display as we're thrown into the middle of Arizona with a father and his daughter sitting at a bench at a rest stop. As Dusk Falls doesn't force feed you every single detail that you need to know, but instead lets you piece these things together, making the story that much more impactful. The writing feels instantly better than your average narrative title. Characters are relatable, and even though the game is happening, it feels much more closer to a prestige drama, as I constantly find myself getting comfortable sinking into my couch and enjoying an episode like I'm watching HBO, causing me to just make choices in the nick of time. As Dusk Falls is broken into 6 episodes as it tries to emulate this prestige television, with episodes falling in the typical 45 to 60 minute range. Along with the title card in the first few minutes, the story moves at a strong pace, with decisions being made very frequently and choices that will alter the story happening on a regular basis. The focus in As Dusk Falls is much more in the story and making choices that will change the outcome, instead of your typical narrative-driven game where there are lots of walking around the room and flipping over a picture frame to reveal nothing. There are still some point-and-click scenes, but they give the story time to breathe as opposed to being a roadblock. As Dusk Falls not only manages multiple character arcs at the same time, but also juggles many different timelines, and this is broken into an episodic format where you immediately want to see what happens next. For the most part, the acting is good, and most importantly with the core cast. There are a few weak links, but luckily these fall in the supporting characters that are few and far between. With many members of the studio coming from Quantic Dream, it's no surprise that at points it feels like too much drama is being forced upon you. The best shows of all time that Interior Night is trying to emulate aren't constantly trying to raise the moral stakes, but instead use time in between to flesh out the world and the characters. As for the art style, even though it was a divisive choice, there were reasons that I did enjoy it, but what wasn't great was how much the camera constantly panned back and forth across the scenes. Instead of trying to simulate movement, it just felt like motion sickness instead. Just like prestige TV, during a season there are a lot of ups and downs, and not every episode can deliver consistently. As Dusk Falls certainly follows this pattern. It's not about the quality of each individual episode, but instead looking at the season as a whole. As Dusk Falls isn't as much jank as Telltale, or as much camp as Quantic Dream, and when judging the season as a whole, As Dusk Falls is a success. Most of the loose ends were tied up in one way or another. I wouldn't want to see this show renewed for a second season, but I would love to see where Interior Night goes from here with this experience under their belt. We give As Dusk Falls a soft 8.